Hello everyone, Dr. Vaughn. I'm going to make a video about getting you through this question, this 15.6, and there's two different versions of it, exercise 15.29. You have some data, you're asked to make a multiple regression model. They actually tell you what that multiple regression model is over here, but I'm going to go ahead and use the data file and pull it up, and then I'm going to tell you how you can get part B. But really you can't because again it asks you, and it tells you this in the book as well, that you need to use another statistical package software, and unless you've spent the money or you download there is a free version or a trial version of that stat tools that they talk about in the book. You can Google it and try to download it and install it, and it might be able to help you with these prediction intervals. But I'm going to show you at least what the answer is to this particular question using another piece of software which might be valuable to you in your future. It's SPSS. So first I want to just run through in Excel. I loaded the data file up into Excel over here, and then I used the data analysis tool pack to run a multiple regression. So the way you do multiple regression is I just do the regression, and then I selected the Y value as the gross revenue, and then I chose both of the columns for the X, and I said I do want the confidence levels, although this really isn't the confidence levels that are going to help me. And then I did use the labels in the first row, and then I pressed OK. And so after I did that, I got this summary output over here. And these coefficients right here are the ones that you're going to use to build your model. So in part A, when you're making your prediction, I just took 3.5 times the television advertising plus 1.8 times the newspaper advertising plus the intercept. And I added all those up, and I got the predicted Y value for the 3.5 and the 1.8, which is 93.588 when you round to the third decimal point. And that actually is the correct answer, 93.588. So you can get part A using Excel and doing multiple regression, but really these 83.23, 2.29, and 1.30, those are the numbers that are right here that we calculated in Excel. They gave them to you in the problem. So to get this number, all you have to do is plug this in for X1 and plug this in for X2 and use your calculator. Okay, so you don't have to load it into Excel and actually generate the regression model because they already gave it to you. All right, but they don't really give you the standard error term to do this, confidence interval. I think that what they're actually asking you to do here is to use like this rule of estimating it, that it's within plus or minus 2 standard deviations, but you need to make sure you're using the standard error of the regression estimate and not just the standard deviation, which they don't give you. So you still have to find that standard error term in order to figure out what plus or minus 2 standard deviation away is going to be for these data. So what I did in order to pull this last part off, because it just wasn't really working with any of these numbers over here, I tried to use the standard error term up here and then pull out the plus or minus 95%, like using 1.96 from the Z distribution, but it turns out to be actually much larger than that. So it might be that I'm using the wrong standard error, but anyway, what finally worked for me was to load up SPSS. SPSS is statistical processing software by IBM. It's kind of expensive, and that's why they don't provide it to you or make you buy it. But it looks a lot like Excel at first. I put the first variable, the Y variable over here, the 96, and the X variable, the television advertising. And I could have labeled these better, but I just was in a hurry. Okay, so once I have all of these in here, now I'm going to go up to Analyze Regression and do Linear Regression. Now, just like before, I'm going to define the dependent variable with the Y variable, and then I'm going to put the X1 and the X2, the two independent variables, in over here. But before I click OK, I'm going to do a couple of things. Under Statistics, I'm going to tell them I want the confidence intervals and the estimates. And then under Save, and this is the important part, I want to put in this individual prediction interval at 95% with unstandardized predicted values, right? So under the Save option in SPSS, I do those two options, and then I press OK. So a couple of things happen. First of all, I get an output window on SPSS, which actually looks a lot like the output window that I got from Excel. You know, all the stuff that's here, the statistics, the ANOVA, the coefficients, the confidence interval on the coefficients, that all showed up in my SPSS output window. But what didn't really show up was that confidence interval. There's the predicted value and the standard error of the predicted value, which is, you know, the minimum and maximum value, and then the mean and standard deviation. I mean, these are the things that you could actually use if you were going to do this by hand. But the other thing that happened, in addition to all this output that's in the output window over here, is if I go back to my input window on SPSS, it added these columns. And so this is the predicted y value for this x and this x1 and this x2. You know, using our model, this is the predicted x value. And then this is the lower limit of that prediction 95% interval. And this is the upper limit of the 95% prediction interval. Now you notice that our numbers are not in here, 3.5 and 1.8. So what I'm going to do is add those two numbers, the 3.5 for the television revenue and the 1.8 for the newspaper revenue. I'm just going to add those two numbers to these columns. And I'm going to go through all of the model building again. Regression, linear, all the default values are still okay here. And then I'll just press OK. All right, so it gave me a new output window that I don't really care about. But you know what happened now is where I added that 3.5 and 1.8, over here it gives me that predicted y value. That was our answer to part A, 93.588. And then it gives me the lower limit and the upper limit of that 95% confidence interval on the estimate, 91.774 and 95.401. And sure enough, when I put those into Cengage MindTap, you're going to get the correct answer. Now, I've done this question 3 or 4 times already tonight. It's taken me a few hours actually to get this out for you. I hope you appreciate it. But every time that I've done this, the data were the same. So, you know, at this point, since you don't have access to SPSS, one of the things you could do is just type in these numbers. And if you do have different numbers, send them to me, and I'll run it on SPSS if I have to. But I'm going to try now this question 2 and see if the data have substantively changed at all, because I think the only difference between question 2 is that they give you the numbers, they give you the model, they ask you the same questions, but there's no link to actually download the data. So what I'm going to do is take these data and now put them all right over into my SPSS. Okay, and I'm going to check them against the data that we had in the first question. 96, 90, 95, 92, 95, 94, 94, etc. I think these are the very same data. I don't really understand why they're giving me question 1 and question 2, unless, you know, there's more things that they're going to do. I think the answers here are exactly the same. 93.588. And then down here, I'm going to put in my 91.774. And for the upper limit, I have 95.401. And you see they were exactly the same. So I think the only difference between the two is this one they let you download the data and this one they don't. But they're the same data anyway, which seems kind of silly to me. All right, well, I hope this has been at least a little helpful. I know that it's not a great answer. I don't know why they gave you a question that they don't really give you the tools to be able to do. I didn't design this class, but I'll be sure to pass that on. The person from Cengage actually contacted me and said, do you have any questions or any feedback about how this is going? So I'll be sure to pass on your concerns about this particular question as well. All right, I'll talk to you later.